Now I'm pleased to welcome to the podium Coach John Troxell, the home coach today. He's head man at Franklin and Marshall. He's beginning his 9th season as the head coach of the Diplomats. He returns 14 starters and 47 lettermen from a year ago, a team that went 7-4 overall. And he's joined today by linebacker Ryan Young. Coach?
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. First, it's an honor to be here and represent Franklin and Marshall College. Our president, Dan Porterfield, our dean of students, Margaret Hazlett, our athletic director, Patty Epps, and obviously our football team. And, our kids here are just outstanding. It's a great institution to be involved with. You talk about student athletes and what they bring to an institution. Our players last spring had a 3.11 cumulative grade point average, which was just outstanding, and I'm amazed sometimes at what our guys do, not only in the classroom but outside of it for the community. So it is an honor to represent Franklin and Marshall College and to be a part of the Centennial Conference. This year, just talking about a little bit about our season, we're going to hit some milestones for our program, and it's a program that's rich with a ton of history and tradition, and we're 3 games shy of 600 for a program. And that dates back a long time, so there's a lot of guys who have put on the uniform that have represented this college, and our guys are proud to continue that tradition. Obviously, we're going to battle for the Conestoga Wagon, which is always a big game for us. And this year we played Gettysburg in the 100th meeting between the two schools when the series is tied 46-46 and 7. So that'll be a big game for us. And it's not going to be an easy season for us. We open with a very tough schedule. Obviously, we're going to scrimmage Lycoming College, who's a top 20 ranked team. And then we play Lebanon Valley College, who a year ago went to the national playoffs, followed by Muhlenberg College, who went to the postseason, followed by Ursinus College, who was picked 3rd in the conference and had a 7-3 record last year. Then Juniata College, who obviously had an outstanding season and went to the postseason as well. So the early part of our season is going to really tell us how we're going to be at the end. So we have to be ready to show up, play hard, and be ready to go early on. Looking at our team, we do return some pretty important pieces and good nucleus of our team. Starting with our offense, up front we return 2 tackles who are outstanding in Ryan Ignatovic and Frank Seitz. We always talk about if we're going to be successful, we need to be able to run the football and need to be able to stop the run. And those 2 guys will be a big part of it. And then for the first time, we have a ton of depth, I think, in the offensive line. We'll have 5 guys competing for the inside 3 spots for starting spots. And those guys, Vinny Acosta, Lou Muller, Jack Florio, Mark Opaliski, and Matt Levinka all had outstanding springs. I think what you'll see is we'll be a little bit bigger up front than we've been in the past, which I think will help us run the football. So, but you need guys that can carry the ball, and we have a couple guys that have been 4-year players for us in Scott LaValva and Lamont Jackson. Both have been outstanding in our program, like I said, for 4 years. And then we're going to be bringing in some talent, hopefully, that can help us. We have Logan Lewis, who's coming from Sidney, Nebraska, we're real excited about. Vince Moffitt, Talib Gerald, Taylor Collison, so 4 freshmen. And there's some other older guys in there. So we'll have some good depth there, and we do think a key to our season is going to be able to run the football. Outside on the perimeter, we returned 2 very explosive kids for us, and Jordan Zachary, who's had 191 career receptions, and he also brings a ton of talent in the return game. And then Paul McGann, who's played for us for 4 years. So our receiving core, with those 2 guys leading it, should be a pretty formidable group. We return our tight end in Jack Gallagher, and we have 3 older kids behind him, which will give us the ability to be a little bit more of a 2 tight end set when we need to be. And then obviously the big question for our program that everybody wants to know is who's going to take over the reins for E.J. Schneider. And we've had 2 older kids who competed in the spring, Matt McGarity and Anthony Carlucci, who did an outstanding job. So we're looking forward to seeing them compete during camp. And then we have a couple of freshmen we're bringing in who are pretty talented too. And if those guys compete at a high level, you might see a freshman starting for us. So it'll be interesting. We've We're back to where we were probably 6 years ago when we started John Harrison as a freshman with some older guys and younger guys competing. So it's going to be interesting to watch those guys compete and see who rises up and takes that job. Obviously, I do think we have enough talent around them to make them successful. Defensively, we're going to rely on our defense to help us win games. We return an outstanding group of defensive players, led by three of our captains, Aaron Fant, Brian Velasco, and Ryan Young, all who are all-conference performers. Our secondary returns Trey Henderson as well at corner, and then we'll have a bunch of guys competing back there, to start at safety and also contribute at corner as well. Jordan Blair has played a ton of football for us as a senior at corner, Robbie Suit, Tim Leone, Nick Watts, Zach Herman. So we have some guys back there that are really going to help us. It is really one of the strengths of our defense is going to be our secondary. The next biggest strength, I think, is our defensive line. We return A.J. Koikoi and John Cox, who we feel are two of the best. After some guys have left the conference, they'll slide right into being some of the best in the league. Max Havlish played a lot of football for us a year ago. Then you have guys like John Najee, Dan Reardon, a group of sophomores who are really outstanding, and we're really expecting some big things out of to contribute for our team as well. Probably our most inexperienced group will be our linebacking core. Obviously, we return Ryan Young, who was an all-conference performer, and we're expecting big things out of. But then you're looking at a group of sophomores who have really, really come along over the last year and developed into good football players. But guys like Stephen Elf, Nate English, Tyler Petrie, Luke Focus, Matt McLaughlin, we're going to be counting on those guys to compete hard during camp to steal some of those spots. But we feel pretty good about where we are defensively. And then in our kick game, we return both our kicker and our punter. And our kicking situation will be as good as it's been since I've been here, where Billy Zwickarowski and Connor Ryan will compete to be the kicker. So it'll be fun to watch those guys compete. And like I said, in our return game with Jordan Zachary back, obviously he's an All-American and is very explosive back there. So we're really excited about the group that we're bringing back. Expectations are high. And like I said, there's a lot of milestones that we're going to hit along the way, and we're really looking forward to the 14th season.
I got a question for you here. I know you're a coach that likes to take things 1 week at a time, so go ahead and indulge in that. Looking at week 1, you mentioned you get Lebanon Valley, the team that has come out of the MAC. You beat a MAC opponent in your bowl game to end the season last year in Delaware Valley. How do you feel going up against a new rival, knowing that you've had some success against that conference?
It's really exciting. I mean, it's one of the things we're looking forward to. I think it's a great way to measure your program because that conference plays a physical brand of football, and we're going to get to see how physical we are. One of the things that's real exciting about playing Lebanon Valley College is we're going to play a football team that will formationally and scheme-wise fit what our opponents do in our conference. So in the past when we played Washington and Lee and playing a triple option team, defensively it was tough because you would go from 1 week of playing that to playing a school like Muhlenberg College who could line up in 2-back or 1-back. And so we think we're putting our kids in a better situation to compete early on in our conference.
Coach, you talked about having the freshman quarterbacks and possibly having one of them start. One of those guys, Duke Etchison coming from Westminster High School. Just what do you like about him, and just what do you figure the battle's going to help them to produce?
Well, I mean, I think the hardest thing for any of the freshmen, we're bringing in 3 of them, and Duke had an outstanding high school career. I think he threw for 3,000 yards and 33 touchdowns last year. Is going to be the mental aspect, and I think that's what the older guys probably have a little bit of an edge on. When you look at Kent Henry, I think Kent was, I think he was a player of the year in Central Virginia. He threw for almost 9,000 and ran for another 3,000. The speed of the game has to slow down for those guys when they're back there. If they can't get it to slow down, it'll be very difficult. Same with Zach Bradley. I mean, Zach had played at a high level. I mean, he was an all-state kid in Pennsylvania for Catasauqua. He's outstanding. They're all outstanding athletes. They're all outstanding quarterbacks. But unless they can mentally grasp the offense, it'll be hard, and that's where the older guys have a little bit of an advantage. But we're going to see. We're going to give them every opportunity to compete, see which one is the best. out of those 5 guys and kind of go from there.
One more here. Last year, your offensive line only allowed 7 sacks all season. And as you mentioned, you got guys like Seitz and Ignatovic who are coming back. How important is it for you to have a good line in place by week 1 to hope to try to continue that, especially if you're going to have some inexperience at quarterback?
Yeah, it's real important. I mean, I think games are won and lost up front, in this conference. And, as I said, I mean, our goal is to be able to run the football and to be able to stop the run. And so we're going to put a lot on our offensive and defensive lines to carry our team a little bit. We're going to have to protect our quarterback. We're going to have to do some things. I think EJ helped in that a little bit because he was so mobile, and I think the kids that we have now in our program are all athletic enough where we can move the pocket a little bit and protect them, just by scheme as well. So the teams just can't pin their ears back and come and get our quarterback. But we're going to rely on those two, the offensive and defensive line for our success.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.